Bleach is easily one of the most popular anime series out there and has amassed a huge fan base in the past decade that is still anxiously waiting for Studio Pierrot to actually bring it back. However, like Dragon Ball Z, Naruto, and other anime series, there are awesome characters, overpowered abilities, and of course, utterly badass and amazing villains. One of those being Ulquiorra, the Cuarta Espada. Ulquiorra is easily one of my favorite characters in Bleach due to his composed nature and nihilistic attitude, which is something that many Bleach characters clearly lacked. This is because most Bleach characters will just go batshit crazy or be on edge if they actually were overwhelmed by a more powerful opponent. Throughout my time on YouTube, I haven't really seen any in-depth or, complex videos actually scaling Ulquiorra specifically, so why don't I fix that real quick and make my own? But anyways, let's get to the real question at hand here. How powerful is Ulquiorra? What are his abilities and feats? Could this Ulquiorra compete with the likes of Kurin Ichigo with his mysterious third form? As usual, I'll be going over feats, scaling, statements, and calculations to actually answer these questions. So, without further ado, let's get into it. Ulquiorra, like many other Arrancars, actually started out as a lowly hollow who seeked out to feed on other hollows to eventually evolve. This was really hard to actually accomplish in Wekamundo because some would actually eventually stop evolving altogether and never end up becoming an Arrancar. Ulquiorra's great power earned him the 4th spot amongst the Espada, arguably being worthy of even the Primera Espada title with his second release, which was actually kept a secret from Lord Aizen. Like other Espada, Ulquiorra has access to a menagerie of abilities like the Cero and the Bala, which are energy attacks capable of actually casually obliterating, if not injuring, Shinigami. He can also use the Gran Rey Cero, an even stronger variant of the Cero, which can only be used by the Espada, and it's actually been confirmed by the Bleach guides to actually bend and warp space. Plus, his durability is quite impressive because of Hierro, which actually makes an Espada skin extremely hard to actually pierce and cut through. And as Clyde himself said, even Kenpachi Zaraki of all people struggled to actually cut through the skin of the 5th Espada, who is weaker than Ulquiorra. And if you have watched or read Bleach before, you know that Kenpachi Zaraki is an absolute monster, so being able to cut through Hierro is a really hard thing to actually do. Unlike the other Espada, Ulquiorra actually gave up greater levels of power in exchange for high-speed regeneration, which actually allowed him to recover from several attacks, even from Vasto Lorde Ichigo. Ulquiorra is also able to literally break his way out of dimensions with his own Reiatsu or spiritual pressure. Even as powerful as Grimmjow is in his own right, was like, yeah, hell nah, I am not dealing with Ulquiorra. He is way too powerful for me to actually face head on, so I'm gonna seal him away real quick, even though it only worked for a couple of hours. But regardless, any high-ranking Espada can very well break out of dimensions if, they have enough spiritual pressure to actually do the job. Anyways, the real reason you guys are here is actually to see how fast Ulquiorra is and also how much shit he can actually blow up. Now, I'm not gonna lie, but actually calculating the speed of Bleach characters becomes really convoluted and actually really confusing if you go with calc stacking, but, to actually accommodate for that, I'm actually gonna give you guys 3 different scenarios to actually scale Ulquiorra's speed. So for one, you can actually scale him going by the Bleach guide, which actually stated that Soul Society Arc Ichigo in his battle against Byakuya was actually able to fight at lightning speeds. For reference, the speed of lightning is about 200 to over 220,000 miles per hour, and Ichigo actually stated to Byakuya that he could fight even faster, so yeah, even characters in this really early arc were already that fast. Now, obviously Ulquiorra is easily heaps beyond Soul Society Arc Ichigo's speed, but by how much exactly? Now, unfortunately, we do not have an exact multiplier for, Resurrección or an Espada sword release, but it should be really comparable to the multiplier for the Bankai release, which can be anywhere from being 5 to even a 10 times increase as stated by Yoruichi. For example, Soifon was actually forced to use her Bankai, a literal rocket launcher, to actually cause damage to Baragon in his release state. Plus, when Haribel fought against Captain Hitsugaya, he actually also had to use his Bankai to keep up with her release state, being Tiburon. There are many more examples like these, but you guys get the gist, right? That a Bankai and an Espada's release should be quite comparable. Before we get into Ulquiorra, we actually need to dissect the battles between Grimmjow and Ichigo, who went at it like several times like a married couple. And please, no fanfiction. So in their very first battle, Ichigo got completely Raffle Uber stomped by base Grimmjow like no difficulty. Then after Ichigo was actually training with the Vizards, got his Hollow Mask, he was actually able to hold his own against Grimmjow and even severely damaged him with a Getsuga Tensho. But Grimmjow wasn't able to fight like a full power because, he did have like an arm cut off, But even so, they were pretty comparable in power. So if we imply that the Hollow Mask, gives Ichigo a 10 times increase like a Bankai, and base Grimmjow is comparable to that, then that means that base Grimmjow is at least 10 times stronger and faster than Bankai Ichigo, who was already lightning speed. Then in their Wekamundo fight, Ichigo actually forced Grimmjow to transform and actually, went pretty toe-to-toe with him, with Ichigo being able to actually damage him with a Getsuga Tensho, and by a really slight margin, clearly not Taikuba's amazing writing, Ichigo actually won. So if an Espada's release state is like 10 times, then Grimmjow in his, Pantera state is at least 100 times stronger and faster than pre-Wekamundo arc Ichigo, making him 100 times faster than Lightning, which is about 22 million miles per hour, which is really damn insane. Now this mofo, Ulquiorra, was actually toying with an even stronger Ichigo, because he even stated that Ichigo got more powerful after getting healed once or twice in his battle against Grimmjow, and after Kenpachi utterly slapped Noitora. So Ulquiorra casually slapped away Ichigo's Getsuga Tensho with ease, meaning that base Ulquiorra is at least as powerful if not more powerful than a transformed Grimmjow. So, simply multiply the speed that we got for Resurrección Grimmjow of 22 million miles per hour by 100, and Ulquiorra in his second release can fight and react at speeds of 2.2 billion miles per hour, which is actually about 3.3 times the speed of light. And for reference, the speed of light is actually about 670 million miles per hour. Now this might seem like wank, but it is actually backed up by scaling from another character, that being Aroniero, the 9th Espada who actually fought against Rukia. He actually stated that he had the power of over 30,000 hollows. Now keep in mind that even the fodder hollows have actually showcased that they can use the sonido, which has been implied in the show to actually be faster than sound. Mach 1, or the speed of sound, is about 767 miles per hour. So, simply multiply the speed of sound by 30,000, and going by this calculation, Aroniero can fight at speeds of 23 million miles per hour, and he's complete fodder to base Ulquiorra and base Grimmjow. So, if you want to stack the multipliers for the masked state of Ichigo and also Ulquiorra's sword releases, then you stack that on top of the speed that we got before, and Ulquiorra would easily be able to fight at speeds of over 23 billion miles per hour, which is actually about 34 times the speed of light. This is because, as I previously mentioned, second release Ulquiorra is at least 1,000 times more powerful than base Grimmjow, who is clearly more powerful than Aroniero. So, with whichever calculation you want to go with, Ulquiorra can fight at several times above light speed. It isn't too far-fetched because even fodder characters like Nanao during the Quincy Blood War arc and other vice captains could actually react to light speed attacks from the Quincy's. And there's nothing to imply that those vice captains are anywhere near as powerful as Bastolorde Ichigo or second release Ulquiorra. So even weaker characters in Bleach have showcased light speed movements, or at least reaction times. Now, I'm not gonna lie, but calc stacking is definitely not really the most accurate way to go to determine Ukiyora's speed because of some narrative and also story elements that are written inconsistently due to Kubo's amazing writing. But I mean, either way, we have already showcased 3 examples that should at least prove that Ukiora could be in a conversation for being light speed. Anyways, now that we have determined how fast Ukiora is, let's go over the cheddar cheese, okay? How much shit can he blow up, right? Which we can actually determine using Las Noches and its overwhelming size. Las Noches has no official distance, but it can actually be calculated using Nell's statement to Ichigo and company when they were going to rescue Orihime. Clearly, the most useful character of all time. But anyways, she said that it would take 3 days to reach the castle, or the gates of the castle, by walking. Now, to help figure this out, I'll actually be using calculations from Seth and Clyde's videos that they've actually utilized in their own Naruto and Bleach videos, which you guys should definitely check out. So, let's say that you walk from Sacramento to Los Angeles, California, which would take approximately 140 hours. Half of that and you'll get about 70 hours, which is approximately 3 days. The distance traveled would be 341 kilometers. Las Noches would be in the middle of Huecamundo, so 341 kilometers would be the radius. So to get the diameter, you simply multiply it by 2 and you'll get 682 kilometers. But we actually need to get the whole distance or the whole circumference, if you want to go all the way around Las Noches, so you multiply that amount by pi and you'll get approximately 2100 square kilometers. Other calculations have actually determined the area to be even 3000 square kilometers, but we'll go with 2000 just to be safe, do a safe lowball. This is the area that an espada with a Gran Rey Zero can actually wipe out or at least damage in effect, as stated by Ukiora himself when he actually faced off against Ichigo. To give you an idea about how crazy this power is, Grimmjow, or basically any espada worth a damn, would be able to casually wipe out a city almost twice the size of LA, which is approximately 1300 square kilometers. Ukiora's statement is actually backed up by when base Grimmjow utilized a Gran Rey Zero in his battle against Ichigo. Harabel and other Arrancars were like, yo, why the hell is he firing that? He should not be firing that, or he's actually gonna, fuck up the canopy, and it should not be used within Las Noches. And hey, a good thing to keep in mind is that Chad and Uryu actually mentioned that even while moving much closer to the castle, that it still appeared massive, implying that Las Noches is far larger than what it actually appears to be. Anyways, back to Ichigo and Grimmjow. Ichigo's masked state was actually stronger than Grimmjow's release state, making him about 10 times more powerful than base Grimmjow, who can already cause crazy damage to Las Noches itself. Then the stronger Ichigo was being cocky and finessed by Ukiora, proving that even in base alone, he is stronger than a transformed Grimmjow, so he is at least didn't even need to actually transform to face off against Ichigo, as he more so did it to basically Ukiora would be 1,000 times more powerful than base Grimmjow. In his second release, would be able to destroy an area that is over 2.1 million square kilometers across, which is really crazy. This means that Ukiora would easily be able to wipe out virtually any US state like Texas, California, Nevada, and so on. He'd also be able to wipe out countries like Japan, South Korea, and even a large chunk of Australia. Basically, it is very clear that Ukiora would be perfectly capable of wiping out, states and also countries, and logically, the other top espada like Stark or Harabel would actually scale from go-to to scale Ukiora to even higher levels. That being Ichigo actually taking place. Tite Kubo actually directly acknowledged, even if it really isn't, it still does correlate to Ukiora and Vasto Lord Ichigo. While he was actually resurrecting, he witnessed a battle between Ulquiorra and Ichigo, and in turn Ichigo does actually turn Vasto Lorde. He starts wiping out large areas of hell and was stated by several characters for being capable of wiping out hell itself. Now, we do not have an exact size for hell, but I have seen arguments that imply that it could very well be multi-continental, if not even planetary in size, due to the sheer amount of souls that actually reside there. For example, on Earth, we have about actually being like overpopulated. Yamamoto's Bankai actually utilizes, which is really damn crazy. So you can just imagine that hell itself would easily have quadrillions, quintillions, if not even vastly more. Regardless, other characters did repeatedly mention that Ichigo threatened to like wipe out everything, so I mean, sure, Ulquiorra did get like shit on by Vasto, contradict the scaling because, I mean, for example, even Shikai Kenpachi, who was like not even as powerful as, you know, Iwatch or Aizen or Ichigo, he was still able to actually, you know, deal with multi-continental levels of power when he sliced a fucking meteor. So, yeah, I think that is really clear that Ulquiorra could at least scale to those levels of power. And on top of that, the Bleach light novels actually have more crazy feats to further back this up, which I will cover in the future. However, we are not done yet because Ulquiorra actually has another thing in store which might be a big shocker to some, but in the video game, Bleach Brave Souls, Tite Kubo actually designed a tercera etapa for Ulquiorra. Yes, Ulquiorra was given a third form, deadass. It not only looks really rad, but Ulquiorra seems to have the Hogyoku, which we know made Aizen extremely overpowered. Now, this is clearly only like game logic, but Ulquiorra in this game actually has even higher stats than some forms of Iwatch and also Aizen, meaning that he could easily be hundreds upon thousands of times more powerful than Segunda Etapa Ulquiorra if he is comparable to them. But to do a generous lowball, we'll say that he is at least 10 to 100 times more powerful than his second release. So Ulquiorra in his third release would easily be able to fight at dozens to over thousands of times the speed of light. However, if Ulquiorra in this form does scale to Iwatch, then he'd easily be multi-continental if not even in those planetary levels of power. Hell, even if we just scaled him to Shikai Kenpachi, he'd also be casually multi-continental. Now in the future, I will actually do like videos, you know, explaining why Iwatch and Kenpachi are that powerful, but we have to start off small, you feel? But all in all, Ulquiorra is an absolute monster and he is easily one of the most powerful Bleach characters, if not the most powerful Espada. And yeah, I really hope that you guys enjoyed this video. Please let me know if you guys would like to see more Bleach in the future. And yeah, I'll catch you thotties next time. Peace out.